Oh, no worries.
What's going on, SML? We're gonna do a team draft special. It looks like what we're gonna do is the best fit for each owner. So we're not gonna do a typical mock draft. We're just gonna do the best fit that we see for each owner, and then we've got a special segment that AJ's gonna bring out here at the end. But um, we'll go ahead and get started. So Prime is the first one. Prime with the first pick. We know it's probably the Colts, but who do you guys have? Who do you think is the best fit for Prime though? If it's not the Colts, who's the best fit?
Yeah, I was thinking about this one, and I'm like, who would I love to see Prime use? Prime is very balanced. He does. There's not a lot of things he doesn't do well, and he has a lot of grit to the way he plays. And then you saw what he did with the speed guy, and Godfrey. So I went with the Lions personally. I thought seeing him with the Lions would be like crazy and probably a little unfair for most people, but that's who I chose.
Yeah, I was on the same page. I was thinking Lions for him too. I mean, that's basically the Colts in season 9 of last cycle. You know what I mean? I think he'd be happy to run it back with the exact same team except season 1, essentially.
I can see that. I would just go a different way. My thinking is I would give him the Cardinals. He has his mobile quarterback, which he seems to like. He likes to roll out and then throw across his body. Kyler Murray's one of the fastest quarterbacks. It's a younger team, so it's not fully built. I know the Lions. You guys say that they're great team, season 9 Colts, but I think part of the fun for him is building up the team. So maybe getting Marvin Harrison Jr. and getting to develop him, and then that young defense on the Cardinals. I think maybe that's kind of a good mix of good talent and then the ability to build. So I would have him as the Cardinals as his best fit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
I like the
definitely better suited with a mobile quarterback. I would agree with you there.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Goff
100%.
is
And
not
then he
that.
gets to have Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm sure
Yep.
he'd love that.
And Trey Benson, I think, is kind of overlooked. Not a lot of people talk about Trey Benson, but he's a 93 speed halfback, still fairly
Oh
young.
wow.
I think he would be a good addition there too. All right, so then me at 2, I'm gonna go with the Browns, but best fit, I kind of like the Cardinals as well, for the same reasons. But I'm gonna go Browns, and I think that kind of the reason it speaks for itself.
I kind of pegged you with the Bills. Maybe it's not a stacked team. It's not a completely ransacked team either, as far as a build goes. But you get the quarterback with a big arm that can throw on the run and scramble. You're really good extending plays. Um, you could pretty much build the offense, but you do have a solid running back with James Cook, and the defense is really solid, which I think is one of your strengths. So I like the Bills for you.
Yeah, funny enough, I took a look at the Bills, was it yesterday, just to see what they look like, because I just wanted to make sure I did my due diligence. But I actually did like that team.
Yeah, I had you taking the Eagles. I know you were talking about it in chat, but I also think this would just be a great fit for Bob. I mean, well, we it is a great fit for anybody. The Eagles are a stacked team, but I think year one and year two, you're winning some Bardys if you have this Eagle team. The way you play is already really balanced. You know how to extend plays, and Jalen Hurts is great for something like that. Great receivers, obviously. Saquon Barkley is insane in this game, and then a good defense. Lots of young guys. Defense still gives you some ability to make some things happen, move some pieces around, and you're also great at trading. And they have a ton of assets that people would want. So I think you'd actually be like really, really good with the Eagles.
Yeah, to me, that's the most appealing thing with the Eagles is all the assets you can move. You could move corners for days and still have your starters. You could move defensive line and still have like. There's just so much depth there that you could move. They would definitely be a lot of fun. But next up is AJ. He's pretty much said he's going to the Giants. Who do you have as his ideal fit, Straw?
Yeah, I had you, AJ, as I had your ideal fit to me as the Cowboys. I
Oh
thought I was thinking
gosh.
about the game. I was about your gameplay and how you play and your style. And some of this I was thinking about, like, how I could see a user sort of playing at their best and maybe even getting to a Simbardi. And I just thought that, like, this team is built for a lot of your strengths. And then it's with Micah Parsons at that D line, just completely wrecking things. I feel like you have a lot of weird stuff that happens to you in games, and Micah Parsons is like he's an equalizer because he just shuts folks down and changes the game completely.
I like that.
That's an
So
interesting pick. I do like Micah. I haven't really looked at the Cowboys other than Micah, but I do like Micah. I will say that.
Funny enough, I think my best fit for you would be the Jets. Even though you just had them in primer, you get Justin Fields, who's a mobile quarterback, Brees Hall at running back, and then you've got a really good defense anchored by Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner. I think the Jets would actually be probably my ideal fit for you.
I like the
I like the
Jets.
Jets for AJ too. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I mean, I guess if I had to go with somebody else, I do like the Jets. Probably like you said, though, I was in primer, so I don't really want to
Yeah.
take them back to back. But I mean, Brees Hall is one of the better running backs I've ever used at Madden. Period. He's got the speed. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he can run you over. I mean, he's perfect back. But if I had to pick a team for myself other than the Giants, I'd probably pick the Lions. Just simply because they're good all over the field. It's basically, I mean, you have so many assets you can move. I know that everybody's freaked out about the cap situation. I don't think that's a big deal at all. You know, it's some restructuring early on and moving some guys, but you still have an embarrassment of riches. You get Jameer Gibbs, who's an incredible Madden back. I think Goff is completely serviceable. You got your speed wide receiver and you got a stacked defense. I really liked the Lions this year.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Lions and Eagles are pretty much they're the best fit for probably anybody that would take them. They're just so stacked. Maybe if you need a mobile quarterback, the Lions aren't quite your team, but outside of that, those teams are just loaded.
Yep.
So that brings us to Woods. Woods kind of hinting towards the Jags. Obviously, the Eagles probably the best fit for him. He won 2 Simbardis with the Eagles, which after never being to a Super Bowl, he ends up with 2 Simbardis with the Eagles. So tough to leave them behind. But if you had to pick a team outside the Eagles that was the best fit for him, who do you think it would be?
If I were Woods, I'd take the Ravens. I mean, this cycle, like if you had so much success with the Eagles because they're built ready to go, I think the Ravens are in that same vein, if not just as stacked. And if I were Woods, I'd take the Ravens, and he may very well take them this cycle.
It's so funny that you say that because literally for the exact same reasons I said Woods to the Ravens as well. I'm like, you did it with the Eagles, do the same thing with the Ravens. I mean, you can, yeah, for sure. They have a similar structure, but you just kind of upgrade with Lamar Jackson, downgrade a little bit with the receivers, but not far, not too far, especially Madden wise, and then an excellent defense, better defense in my opinion. So I would definitely say the Ravens.
Yeah, I think they're maybe a step below the Eagles that he's had, but he's had a lot of success taking a loaded team, and I think I'd agree that the Ravens are the pick for Woods, at least as far as best fit. Now, I think he's going to go Jaguars, but I think definitely the Ravens are a great fit for him. Then at number 5, we've got Matt. Who do you guys have for Matt? He says he's taking the Seahawks, so another one that we're pretty sure on which way he's going to go. But who do you think is the best fit for Matt?
You know what's funny? I actually think the Seahawks are the best fit for Matt, but I didn't want to pick the Seahawks. And I was trying to think, like, well, who else? And I came up with the 49ers. I was thinking of a great run game that can that still feels a little bruiser. CMC has a little more like breakaway and get out of there kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But the Seahawks and the 49ers have always built very similar teams. Stout defenses, good run games. They sort of play the game right, and I just think that's obviously totally Matt. So I thought the 49ers would be a good fit, if not the Seahawks.
What about you, AJ? Who do you have for Matt?
I like the Jets for Matt, man. He doesn't need a good quarterback, but Fields is good enough. You know what I mean? And even if you didn't want to dev fields. He can get anybody, but he's got Brees Hall, and he's got an elite defense. I mean, to me, that's a team that's built for Matt. Um, I think he'd really like Brees Hall. I mean, he's got an elite cornerback. He's got elite defensive tackle. He's got good ends. Um, you can build up your linebackers, but if anybody can dev linebackers, it's Matt.
Yeah,
So
Matt says he would
I'd have him pick for
circumcise
the
himself
Jets.
again before taking the Niners. I have Matt. I think Matt would be good with the Texans. Kind of the same thing. You're looking at a Texans roster that has Mixon and Chubb, so he's got two running backs, especially with the wear and tear and the amount he runs. And then on top of that, you've got C.J. Stroud, who not really that mobile, but has a lot of good abilities for passing from the pocket. So I could see them, especially with like Jamal Hill, who's a user linebacker. It would kind of be his kind of Trenton Simpson guy. So I could see them being kind of a fit for him.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
like that.
All right. So
Same
next
vein.
up is Dan. Who do you have for Dan, AJ?
Oh, Dan, best fit for Dan. Probably. I think Dan would do really well on the Giants. To be honest, I think if I weren't the Giants, he'd be really considering them. Um, Same reason, kind of as Matt. You have a really good young defense,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of good pieces. The offense is young pieces. You have a really good tight end and Theo Johnson. He's 88 speed. I know Dan likes his tight ends.
Yeah.
Um, you got some work to do at running back, but you have solid pieces there. Or if you want to go to the draft, you can go to the draft. But I mean, the Giants seem like his style of team. They're not too stacked, but they have enough on defense to be really excited about.
Straw, what do you think for Dan?
Yeah, I actually ended up going with the Steelers for Dan, which is like a prime Colts pick. But when I was looking at all the teams, and I'm like best fit for Dan, especially with what the Steelers did and what they built, especially on that defense, I was like, man, this feels like just such a great pick for Dan. I think they got to do some work on the offensive side and
Oh, I think Straw just hit a tunnel.
and obviously love. So
Yeah, I can see the Steelers. I mean, being his favorite team, they always have a little bit of an edge above everybody else. I think the perfect fit for Dan for me would probably be the Bucks. He doesn't like to keep his quarterback very long. He always likes to move on. So you start with Baker Mayfield, and then you can move on after that. Young receiver in Ibuka, and then you've got a tight end that has 90 speed. He loves his tight ends. He's got a 90 speed tight end. There's a defensive tackle with really good acceleration in Clancy, who's only 24. Two 21-year-old corners that they drafted. So I think the Bucks would be a really good team for Dan. All right. Next up is Meats. Who do you have for Meats, Straw?
I had Meats with the Texans. I thought the Texans would be a great pick. His play style, he has a good balance of running and passing, maybe leaning more passing. Great young receivers, great young quarterback, devs teams pretty well. I thought the Texans would be a great fit for him.
All right, AJ?
I have the Jags. I think he'd really like that team. They're solid across the board, really, for no reason whatsoever, because the team's horrible in real life. But for a Madden team, they're a lot of fun. You got a good quarterback with good attributes for the most part. You have some really good pieces on defense, and you get Travis Hunter, who's just a fun player. You can play him both ways. He's got the new fun ability. Um, I like meets with the Jags.
Yeah, stole my pick right there because I had him for the same reason. Trevor Lawrence, mobile enough he can use him, and then he's got his speed running back in that rookie Tootin out of, I think, Virginia Tech. He's at 95 speed. And then probably, I don't know if you guys were even here for Meats as the Cardinals, but he had a secondary he really liked with Isaiah Simmons and Buda Baker and a couple corners, and now you'd have that 95 speed safety that he could use to go with Travis Hunter and Tyson Campbell. So I think the Jags, like you said, I think that's probably the best pick for Meats. Next up is KP. And AJ, who do you have KP with?
In KP's perfect world, and good fit for him too, would be the Browns. Just because A, they're his favorite team, and B, they have a really good defense. And we know KP is all about defense. Offense, he can completely kind of build however he wants. So I got him on the Browns.
See, I got him with the Ravens. I think the Ravens for KP, not a guy. He even tell you that he's not very good at running, so might as well give him the best running back in Derrick Henry, and just have him run straight through people. You don't have to cut. You don't have to do anything. Just snap the ball and hold up. And then obviously, like you said, defense. There's loaded on defense. Straw, what do you think?
Yeah, it's funny for the same reasons I kind of had him with the Seahawks. I do think best fit, you know, if they fell to him, either the Browns or the Ravens, I think would also be great for him for the same reasons, man. I picked the Seahawks because of because of their defense. That secondary is
Yeah.
great. And you know they have a pretty good defense for where he would potentially be picking if they were there. But I like all of those picks for him. I had him at the Seahawks, but I love the Browns and Ravens for KP.
All right, so then we move on to Mike. Mike's a guy that picks pretty much based on division. So his team pick is usually pretty difficult to lock down unless you figured out who's going to be in what divisions. But if you had to pick just solely on team, what team would you give Mike, Straw?
I'm still a gunslinger, Mike. So I gave him Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, why not give him the best NFL quarterback?
You can argue over which is the best Madden quarterback, but give him him with Xavier Worthy and all those offensive weapons they have. And they're getting older, but you know, Mike with them, I think would be really fun. So I gave him the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm kind of along the same lines. I would pick the Bengals for him. Better weapons for the quarterback. Like you said, you could argue over who the best quarterback is, but I think Burrow has the best abilities, and I think he might like the younger Bengals defense that can develop a little bit more than the Chiefs, who are just aging into that salary cap hell. But AJ, who do you have him taking?
I actually was thinking Bengals as well. Mike's a gunslinger, and that team is set up for. I mean, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Burrow, I mean that's perfect
Yeah, that's kind of why I jumped in there right after Straw because I figured you were going to take my pick again, like you did with the Jags.
for the weapons on offense. Yeah.
All right, so next up's Paulie, another one that's going to pick based on division or where he thinks he can kind of form a division. What do you have as his team? And you've played him. I mean, we were in the same division with Paulie not too long ago. AJ.
Paulie's a weird one just because he never. I don't know. He's got a different kind of style. Um, give him the Dolphins. You know what I mean? You got the kooky head coach. You got the weird playbook. You have some good pieces on offense. You know the cap situation is crazy, but he'd probably dump Tua, but he's no. I mean, he dumped Danny Dimes. He didn't have any problem taking a team without a QB.
Yeah.
So we'll put him. We'll put Paulie with the Dolphins.
I like the Dolphins pick, especially because he throws to his running back a lot, and then you've got A Chain and what's the other guy's name? Jalen Wright. I can't remember if that's his name. The quick guy out of Tennessee. But you have two running backs there that you can throw the ball to. I kind of like that pick for him, and then a good defensive end in Chop Robinson too. He's a young, quick defensive end. What about you, Strike? You just played him. Who do you think would be the best fit?
Yeah, I went ahead and gave him the Commanders. I thought that the Commanders have a good overall team that I thought he could develop really well. He was really good at developing young running backs, so I thought he could find someone to kind of work out, same way Glenn did, and found a good corner piece there. But I thought they had a lot of pieces that he could build around that fit to his strengths. So I gave him the Commanders. I think and they're a sneaky good team. In Madden, especially with how they're kind of built. So I think they dev really well, and if you build them right, can turn into a good powerhouse team. So I thought it would be a sneaky pick with him and the Commanders for best fit.
Yeah, and he gets to follow AJ in that scenario, so I could see him wanting to do that. Next up is Raider fan. Raiders still on the board. Is that the best fit for him? Straw?
I actually gave Alex the Bills. I thought the Bills would be like watching him play and seeing him with the Panthers and I mean like he had some up and down seasons, but he had some where he was winning the whole NFC division with the number one seed.
And I would love to see him with the Bills. I think that'd be a great team for him. He can kind of toss the rock around. James Cook is a great running back, and obviously that's a great team. If the Bills were here for him to pick, I think that'd be a great choice for him.
All right, what about you, AJ?
I like the Niners for Raider. I think you already got a good defense. You got a really good offensive line. I think what he likes to do, I don't think he needs a QB with high throw power. He runs
Yeah.
he's running the ball a lot of play action pass. He's throwing open receivers for the most part. I like the Niners for Raider fan.
I would go with the Falcons for him. If you look at his most success last cycle, it was when he had a good running back that he just relied on heavily, and then he had that tight end. I can't remember what is Matt Davidson or something like that. But he had that tight end that was really fast. So you have Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts basically just recreating that, and then hopefully recreate some of that magic that he had with the Panthers. But I think that's the closest team that resembles a team he had a lot of success with. Next up is Doink. Doink's kind of all over the place. We've seen him take a bunch of different teams. Doesn't really run from a division. Who do you have as Doink's best fit, AJ?
This one's hard, man. I guess if I had to choose, I think Doink would really be good in LA, the Chargers.
Hmm.
I think he goes back to a really good quarterback. He's had his most success there. Um, the Chargers have a nice young team. Herbert's worth taking the team over, to be honest. Um, some decent pieces on both sides of the ball. They're young though. You can build them, and from what I can tell with Doink, he doesn't mind. He likes the build process.
Yeah.
Um, so I think Chargers are a good place for Doink.
Man, I should have went Straw first because that was exactly who I was going to say. Chargers. He gets his set feet lead or pass lead elite, which is really when he had his most success. And then, like you said, it's a young team that can be built. But what about you, Straw? Who's his best fit?
I had him back to the Falcons again. Obviously there's some different things that he'd have to hope to get again with the set feet lead and all that kind of stuff. But the Falcons have a great team.
Fast tight end, Bijan, and some great pieces. You got to figure out what you're going to do at quarterback if you're going to roll with Penix or if you're going to go and try to find someone, making some pieces work there. But I think he kind of likes trying to figure that stuff out. So I had him back at the Falcons.
All right. Next up would be Stavo. And who do you have for Stavo, Straw?
Let me see, who do I have? I had, if they were, okay, just kind of looking and thinking best fit, there was definitely some I could go for. Stavo is, we saw what he did with sort of a stacked team. So, obviously we can give him some stacked teams and have him try to run the table again. But I would love to see Stavo. I think it'd be a great fit for him to have the Jaguars. I think they're an interesting team. They're fun. You have some interesting running pieces, Travis Hunter, and then you have Brian Thomas Jr. I thought they would be a good fit for his play style, and I think it'd be fun to watch him use them. Obviously, I don't think they'd fall and make it this far, but I would love to see Stavo with the Jags.
Yeah, I think I would have Stavo with the Seahawks. He's got a pretty good user. We've seen him develop that guy. So if he takes that 21-year-old safety that they drafted, that's like 6'3", 93 speed, I think that would be good for the defense. You've got lockdown corners, obviously, and we saw what he did with Verse and Fisk. So he can develop the defensive line, and then he throws to his running back a lot. I think he likes it from behind the most or whatever. Grim did, and so I think he would be really good dumping it off to Kenneth Walker. I think that would be huge for him. And so I think Seahawks are probably who I would have as his best fit.
Yeah, I actually had Seahawks as well. I know he doesn't want to take some elite quarterback based on how he built the Rams last year. Um, so he can dump Geno early, but he's got Kenneth Walker, and a really young team to build. I mean, to me, the Seahawks are very similar to the Rams pick last year, where you can just basically start from scratch, but you do have a couple of really good key pieces there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so next up is Fig. Who do you have for Fig, AJ?
Fig Fig needs to take the Chiefs, man. I, that team is ready to go from the gate. You know, the cap situation's scaring people, but I promise you it's not that bad. You just have to ditch O-line early. You got your elite quarterback, you got an elite running back, and you have two number one receivers really, in Rashi Rice and Worthy. Worthy being the speedster, and the defense has there's some age there, but they have a really good young devable player at every position on defense. Um, so to me, team building wise, it's already set, and Fig's going to pick high, and he's going to even have a better team. So I like the Chiefs for Fig.
I've actually got him with the Raiders. Same thing. You got that speed guy, 6'5", speed rookie receiver. You've got Genty. He complained all last cycle about not being able to get Gibbs to his superstar. So Genty just starts there. So you don't even have to worry about that. And then they got a good linebacker. He's trading like number one picks for a mid-range linebacker with some speed. So he's already got that. Doesn't have to worry about that. And really the Raiders have speed everywhere. They're not the Lions from last cycle, and they're not the Chiefs, but they've got a lot of speed, and they've got a superstar running back. So maybe the Raiders are a good pick for him. Straw, what do you think?
I ended up giving him the Dolphins. A lot of the same reasons, just kind of speed everywhere that I was going for. Yeah. I do think the Dolphins in their playbook and stuff it could be a little too wonky. We don't want Figs getting too in there, but
so I do kind of like the Chiefs and the Raiders. Actually, I hadn't thought about, but I think that could be a good one for him too. But I thought the Dolphins, just that speed everywhere.
Just give him speed and see what he can do.
All right, so what do you guys think about for Gutta? I think Gutta would be good with the the Falcons. He did good. Same thing. The tight end, the running back, that's kind of his thing. But then he has a really good user, and the Falcons with Troy Anderson, I think he's still solid and can be a good user, and I think Gutta will turn him into a good one. I mean, we saw him use, I think, Devin Bush or somebody like that. I know he used Diablo for a little bit. Give him somebody like Troy Anderson and see what he can do with that guy.
Yeah, I like that Falcons pick. I'm kind of looking through the teams here, and I tend to agree with that. That's he gets Pitts. He loves the tight end. He's going from Bowers to Pitts. I think that's maybe even an improvement. Maybe not this Madden though. I guess Bowers has better abilities, but
might be the best player in the game.
Penix is mobile enough, but he could always draft a QB as well.
Yeah,
Kuda's a infinitely better player with a mobile quarterback. With the way he runs offense. Also, the Falcons just have a lot of pieces all over the field. Bijan's an elite running back, which he never really had last cycle, and I think this cycle he may pick somebody that has a good running back. So I like that pick for good.
All right, Straw, what do you think?
There's just some guys that it's their favorite thing, and they just embody that so much, and it just feels like the best fit for them. I just think Gutta and the Raiders, like when I think best fit for him, maybe it's because that's who he loves, but they just feel like the right team for him. Maybe it's because of the energy he brings when he has them too. But they just feel like the best fit. And then and now you got like we just talked about with all the weapons they have, they're only getting better at this point, especially as a Madden team. I just could see him doing some crazy work with the Raiders if he took them this cycle.
Yeah, I could see that. Next up is Hurts. I've got an interesting one for Hurts. I would go with the Dolphins because he's got a left-handed quarterback, and I noticed he likes to run a lot of the play-action boots to the left. So I think giving him like a Falcons or a Dolphins with a left-handed quarterback would probably be the best for him. Outside of that, he built a really good team with the Browns, but I mean Dan's going to be the one building the team anyway, so it doesn't really matter who he takes.
I gave him the Broncos. I think he's a great defensive mind, and that defensive team, especially with Sotan, and some interesting pieces. Like they're not a team that you would expect them to be as good as they are as a Madden team. But also has room for some developing, which is a great team builder. So I give him the Broncos.
Okay. What about you, AJ?
I got to start going second because y'all keep taking my pick. I was also going to say the Broncos. you got Bo Nix is an exciting quarterback this Madden for sure. He got a definite ratings bump. They have a lot of young pieces there. Good defensive pieces. Surtain may be the best cornerback in the game. I think he'd be a good fit there. And he must have learned the PA boots to the left from Dan because Dan does that too. I think
Yeah,
they
they
think
do.
it's like a surprise factor type thing.
Yep. All right. So next up would be a Straw. We've got Straw. Um, I've got you Bengals to me. Obvious choice. Um, they've got the most weapons and a top quarterback, and you are a gunslinger. So I would have you go with them. I also think they have one of the better defenses. Maybe underrated, but one of the better defenses in the game. AJ, what do you think for Straw?
For the sake of not picking the same team again, we'll go we'll go with the Eagles. Not quite the same quarterback, but you still have pretty equitable weapons on offense as far as AJ Brown and Devontae and even Goddard really is a good weapon. And then you got Saquon. Um, Straw's not a big runner, but if you give him Saquon, I bet you he can do some damage. Eagles obviously his favorite team. It's a good fit for Straw.
All right, and Straw, who do you have in this spot?
I also had the Bengals, man. I think obviously if the Eagles were to fall, I'd probably take them. But the Bengals are a great team, man. I think there's probably some reason that I didn't take them the first last cycle. And it was probably because I was having a kid on the way. The universe was telling me, hey, this isn't the time. I think this would be time to undo some wrongs there if the Bengals were there and come back and see what we could do with them. So I really like them. They're a great team.
Yeah, I think they'd be a great fit for you. I'm really not hoping you take them with me taking the Browns. But then we have Grim. Grim coming in at pick 18. Who do you have Grim taking? We'll start with Straw since you just played him.
Yeah, I had Grim take the Jets. I think for a lot of some people that you said earlier taking the Jets, I have Grim for some similar reasons. I think that defense is amazing. You have Brees Hall. Obviously, Grim did best when he had a really great running game. He can control the game there. He could figure out what quarterback he wants to use, whether he's gonna go with Justin Fields or sort of move on. But then that defense, being able to have the defense in the corners and the DBs that he has, that's where I saw Grim at his best. So I thought the Jets.
Okay. AJ, what do you think?
I got Grim pegged for the Packers here. I just think the defense attracts him there. He's a defensive player. Offensive, we saw him draft an elite running back last year. I think he feels comfortable with that. I'm not even sure who the Packers running back is this year, to be honest.
Josh Jacobs.
Um, yeah, okay. Josh Jacobs, he's old, he's aging. You're not going to re-sign him, obviously. But I don't think he's worried about the offense. He wants to build a good offensive line, from what I've seen. Um, he likes the rebuild process as far as that side of the ball goes. You got a good quarterback who's young and some good speed at wide receiver. And I know Grim likes his speed, so I like him at the Packers.
I actually like him with the Bears. Staying in the NFC North, but the Bears, we saw him trade Jaden Daniels last cycle and got a haul from Gutta. Caleb Williams is now in his second year, so he's tradable. He's only 75 overall. X Factor, you can trade him. So I could see him taking the Bears, moving on from Caleb Williams, and then kind of bringing in the pieces he wants. Meanwhile, he's got Swift there. He's got a Dunze there. Burden is a 21-year-old rookie that's there. I think the Bears could have some pieces there. All right. Then that brings us to Colt 45. Tight end, halfback guy. Who do you guys have him taking? AJ, we'll start with you.
I'd say the Raiders, if not for only Bowers and the speed on the field, but I think Colt would be a good fit for the Raiders. He gets Gianti right off the cuff. You got to figure out QB, but he should be drafting fairly high to be able to do that, and I think the Raiders is a great fit for Colt.
I can see that. What about you, Straw? What do you think?
I had him taking the Bucks. Interestingly enough, I think that having Mike Evans and Godwin on the outside helps to leave your tight end and your running backs open. So I thought that and Baker Mayfield can get the ball around to everybody. And the Bucks have a really good offense. And they should, because they played great last season in real life. So I think that's a great team, and it'd be interesting to see him use them. He has some good receivers who can make some big plays for him when they need to, but he also has some great running backs that can do some good stuff there.
Yeah, and Matt kind of hit the nail on that. He said he loved Brian Thomas Jr., so he loved the Raiders' speed, and I could see that. I think a good fit for him would be the Giants. I don't think they're going to fall that far, obviously, because AJ is going to take them. So if he had to pass on them, I would say probably the Dolphins. All that speed. I know Hill is getting older, but you still have Waddle, you still have Achane and Wright at the halfback positions. I think those might be the ones for him. Would be just the speed and the Dolphins being a team that could fall lower. Next up is DW. DW picked the Cardinals, left, traded everything in the Cardinals' future for Josh Allen, and then left, and then DW came back and had to deal with that. Who do you guys have DW taking, and does he make it the whole cycle?
I had DW taking the Browns. When he gets going, he can definitely win some games, and that defense can help you to win some games with Myles Garrett and some of the pieces that they have there. He definitely needs to actually build them and stick around because you got to do some work with some of those offensive pieces and make some good moves and things. But I like him with the Browns.
Okay, AJ?
I like the Texans for DW. Nice young team to Dev. You can still bring in a lot of pieces. The O-line's good. You got your quarterback for the whole cycle, so you don't have to search for that. It's just a really good team. We're pretending Prime's not in the division, even though he will undoubtedly take the Colts. But I like the Texans for DW.
I like the Patriots. I like the Patriots for DW. DW likes the Browns, and the Patriots have Henderson, and I'm going to take the Browns, and I want Henderson. So if he takes the Patriots, he can trade for some Browns. But I think that would also be a team he like. I think he likes to build teams a little bit. He just doesn't like when they have no picks to do that with. So I think the Jags and the Falcons would be out for him because, if you're a guy that doesn't expect to win too much, you probably want to go ahead and have your picks. And so I think the Patriots are probably going. I think the Broncos are another good one. Other than being a Browns fan, the Broncos are a little tough to take, but I think Patriots or Broncos would be good for him. Next up is Soda. Soda's talked about taking the Jets. He had the Bears last year. Hated Caleb Williams. Had 99 on the bench. Who do you have Soda taking, AJ?
I do like the Jets for him actually. I think he after hearing him talk and he literally tells you what's on his mind in chat almost every day. He stunk on defense last year and he hated the Bears defense. I think he wants to draft a team for defense this year. I think he's confident enough in his offense to be able to score. So I think that alone would make the Jets a good fit for Soto.
Okay. Straw?
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good point, AJ. And I think I would probably change mine to the Jets. I think that's a really good choice. I'd given him the Chargers just because of how electric his offense was. But I think that he could probably do that with a lot of offenses, especially because he's good at team building. So picking a good defense would probably be good for him. But I had chose the Chargers just because it'd be fun to watch him with Justin Herbert and then see what pieces he built around that to continue to have an electric offense.
Yeah, see, I think the Packers will be there for him, and I think that would be obviously he's a Packers fan, so I think that would be a good pick for him. I think the Bucks are another one that would be a really good fit for him. You've got again that fast tight end. He loved his tight end that he drafted. That was one of the quicker ones. So I could see him taking that. The only problem there is Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback, and he clearly doesn't like good quarterbacks. So I think the Packers are probably the best fit for him that could be available where he picks. That brings us to ZBD. ZBD. Who do you have ZBD taking, Straw?
When I was thinking of it originally, I was trying to think of like who would fall this low, and that would be a good fit. So when I thought of this, I thought the Vikings would be a good pick for him. I was like, let me give him one of the best receivers in the game, and let's see what he can do with that. I think the Vikings are an interesting team. They should be better than they are, and but there's just something about them. But I had him going with the Vikings.
Okay. AJ?
Funny enough, I was actually thinking the Vikings as well. I think offensively, you got plenty to work with there. Obviously, you got JJ, and you got the young QB that you can plug in. Um, Defensively is almost a total rebuild, but I know he likes that portion of the game. Um, and I don't know McCarthy's speed, but I'm pretty sure he's fairly mobile. I know ZBD likes to have a mobile quarterback. So, and it's not in my division since I played him 800 times last season between SML and Primer. So we're gonna go, yeah, with the Vikings.
Well, you're going to hate this because I got him with the Commanders. Uh, so he will be playing you. I think the Commanders are a good pick for him. I think we could see them fall unless somebody kind of falls in love with Jaden Daniels. But Jaden Daniels is there. You've got McLaurin. He likes Ohio State, so he's got McLaurin. I think the Commanders are a good pick for him. He's coming off of Drake May in Primer and Herbert in SML. So I think seeing an X Factor quarterback in Jaden Daniels, I think that would be a good fit for him there. Then we've got Tug. Tug, a Rams fan. Rams probably would be on the board here. Do you think they're also a good fit for him? Straw?
I actually think the Packers are a good fit for Tug. And I know the Packers have been mentioned a lot. I think the Packers are sort of a good team for a lot of folks. But I just based off of Tug's play style and what I've seen from him and just playing with the Packers team a little bit, I think I would like to see him. I think he would do really well with them. With some of that speed that they have with I can't think of his name right now, number 9. And then some young pieces that they have. I would like to see Tug with the Packers. I think that'd be a good fit.
All right, AJ, what do you think here for Tug?
I think Tug, if given the opportunity, would go back to Jacksonville, and I think that'd probably be a good fit for him. He had a lot of success with them in Primer, and they have an infinite number of weapons on offense. Good running back. You got Travis Hunter. What's Travis Hunter's speed, by the way?
93.
93. So he's fast enough for Tug. And you got some good defensive pieces. I think he would be a good fit for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I could see that. I think the Rams, though. I think just being his favorite team, you've got 293 speed guys in Nakua and Atwell. And then on top of that, Tug likes to bring a little bit of pressure, so he's got a good defense there to do that. And then that extra pick, so that he can draft his 99 speed guy to replace Cush. I think that would be a good team for him. But next up is Trick. Trick was the Patriots last year. Loves his speed guys. Who do you have him taking, AJ?
Trick's a no-brainer for the Raiders if he had the opportunity because of the speed and only the speed. That's what Trick lives for in Madden. Trick for the Raiders.
All right, what do you think, Straw?
Yeah, I had Trick. Obviously, they're not going to be here because of AJ, but I had him there. I thought the Giants would be an interesting pick for him again. When I thought of this, I was thinking of who might be there, and this is with AJ going in a different direction. But I think it'd be fun with him with Neighbors and how he would dev him up. And then they have a lot of fun pieces and an interesting team. They could really go either way based on how you built them. They could either end up being really good, or they could be really bad. But I think he could do well with them.
Yeah, and it's tough to tell which teams are going to be available down this low. I mean, there may not be a lot of speed. I could see one team that would definitely be this low and that would have speed would be the Saints. I know it's maybe everybody thinks the Saints are going to be one of the bottom 2 teams, but they've got 3 guys with 93 speed that are their top 3 receivers in Olave, Shaheed, and Cooks. And then they've got another guy, Tipton, who's a He's a second-year guy, only 24. He's 94 speed. So they have a little bit of speed there. You've got Taysom Hill as your tight end at 89 speed, but also Jawan Johnson at 87 speed. So you do have a little bit of speed there. They've even got a running back. I don't know if you remember Velus Jones Jr. He came out of Tennessee. He was a receiver for the Bears, and he was like 94 speed. Well, he's a halfback now. So that gives you another guy with speed. He's 94 speed halfback. He's a little older. He's 28, so you're not going to be using him for very long. But so there's a little bit of speed there. It's an easy division. He would be familiar with it because, or not him. I was thinking Tug for a second, but no. Trick would be, not far behind in the roster building. So I think maybe the Saints are kind of a sneaky pick there. You get some speed. Next up is CC. And now we're going to start getting into guys that they're just going to take probably the best available teams. But who do you have as a good fit for CC? You've played him quite a bit, AJ.
CC's a gunslinger, man. I think the Bucks would be a good fit for him. I know they're kind of getting old, but I mean, you get set feet lead. Baker could probably go 7, 8 seasons, maybe the full cycle. You get Mike Evans, Chris Godwin from the jump. Pretty good, really good defense from the jump. Also getting kind of old, but I think the Bucks would be a realistic pick for him as well. So,
all right, what do you think, Straw?
Yeah, what I was thinking, realistic pick that I think would be a really good fit for him. I was kind of thinking of the Rams. I thought that could be good. They got Devontae Adams with Puka, and he can, make some things happen with them too. And a lot of interesting pieces there with the Rams, and obviously that extra draft pick. So I thought the Rams.
Okay. Well, I've got. I think the Vikings for CC. I think you give him Justin Jefferson. Like you said, he likes to throw the ball around. So give him the best receiver maybe in the game, him or Jamar Chase. And then you've got J.J. McCarthy, nice young quarterback he can develop. He doesn't have to look for a quarterback. So I think that would be good. And CC maybe near the top of the draft, so he can add more weapons there. I think the Vikings could be a team that could be there and would be a good fit for CC. Steve up next. Steve, 49ers fan, probably taking 49ers in primer. What do you have him taking, Straw?
You know what? I forgot that Steve was a 49ers fan, so he's probably gonna hate this. But and they actually might not fall this far, but I had him taking. I thought
some games that we played in NCAA actually, where he played me
really, really tough. I thought based off of that, like the Cardinals could be a really good team. Kyler Murray, being pretty mobile, Marvin Harrison Jr. and some of the different pieces they have there, running game and things like that. I thought they'd be a really good team for him to build up and kind of play, kind of how he played me in NCAA. So I had him with the Cardinals, but he actually might hate that pick.
Yeah, he might. What about you, AJ?
I like Steve. Shoot, man, this one's kind of hard. I'm torn between the Bears and the Broncos, but we'll call it the Bears. I like Steve with the Bears. They got a lot of assets, obviously, to move. They have a cycle quarterback and Caleb Williams, who's also mobile. Some good pieces on offense. Steve, I would call somewhat of a gunslinger as well, although he's gotten a little bit more tame since he's been in the SML, as far as I could tell. But I like Steve on the Bears.
All right, I like that. I actually like him on the Steelers. I think the defense there is really good. You have a young running back, and then DK Metcalf is going to be there, and you've got some weapons on offense, but you also got a really good defense. And I think that defense with Steve, especially being able to use T.J. Watt in the blitzes with Cam Hayward anchoring that center of that defensive line, I think the Steelers would be a good pick. And I'm assuming Dan passes on them, and if he does, and then I'd assume Hurts also passes on them, they're going to fall pretty far down, I think. I don't think they're that great of a team to get picked high up, so I think they could be there for Steve. Next up is Tiny, and to me, it's the Titans. his favorite team. I know I hate to put him back with what's probably going to be a pretty stacked division again, but I mean, where he's picking, their his favorite team, they got a rookie quarterback. I mean, it's it's gonna be tough to just take beatings again, but I think for him, it's probably the Titans are the best pick that's gonna be available there. If not, though, I think the Panthers are a sneaky good pick for him. Um, he's a decent passer, and they have some receivers. They just got that McMillan. They have Xavier Leggett. They have Adam Thielen still somehow alive there. So they do have some receivers, and I could see him maybe going to the Panthers as a good fit there. But I think it's the Titans.
Yeah, hard to not imagine Tiny on the Titans, but I like. I mean, I think you could consider the Falcons for Tiny. Um, I think on offense, they would be a lot of fun. Um, Tiny's had his best success, I guess, on the Giants when he had a really good defense. He had a good running back as well. Um, and I think the Falcons would be a great fit for him. I don't think that division is going to be very tough.
Yeah.
Um, at least it shouldn't be, if all things go, logically in a draft. But I think I like the Falcons for Tiny.
I have I think we all kind of agree. Tiny the Titans. Whenever someone who's a fan of a team gets a rookie quarterback, especially number one overall, like I think you almost want to play Madden well in hopes that it makes your team play well. It's like
Yeah.
it's like psyching you up, and no one believes in the Titans more than Tiny. I think that he actually like put in the time to be the best he can be in Madden to make sure the Titans are gonna win. And sometimes when the Eagles used to be bad, I would go and play as the Eagles, beat some people online after we would lose on Sunday because it made me feel better. So I think the best fit for him would for sure be the Titans. But outside of that, I think someone with a good running back, whichever team, to AJ's point, kind of falls with the best running game. Like if he could get a Falcons, I would actually love to see Tiny with someone like that.
Yeah. All right. So then that brings up NYT, another Titans fan. I don't think the Titans are actually the best fit for him. The team that I have for NYT that I think will fall this far most likely is the Cowboys. Um, NYT used Sam Howell at quarterback, so he could get rid of Dak Prescott. He could use Joe Milton, who's got 99 throw power. Hell, he could go out and get Sam Howell. But one of NYT's best cycles that I remember, and it was short because it was before the blip, but when he was the Commanders and he had Sweat and he had Chase Young on that defensive line, that Commanders defensive line was really good. And I think giving him a team that has Micah Parsons and that they drafted a couple guys. They have a rookie, Izarike, I think is his name, the one out of Boston College. I think that's who he is. Yeah, Donovan is Izaraku, but he's 21-year-old defensive end. You add him with Micah Parsons, and I think you have a good defensive middle and or defensive line. And I think that's probably the best fit for NYT that he could expect to be there.
Funny enough,
Yeah.
I had NYT go into the. I had a good fit for him that could potentially be there as the Panthers. Maybe for similar reasons that he had Tiny picking the Panthers, but I thought that they have some interesting pieces. And I also agree with you. I don't think the best fit for NYT would be the Titans, but I would like to see. I think him with the Panthers would be a good fit. Especially with some of the pieces they have at defensive back. I kind of like them there. And then when he has some receivers and how he can kind of build that up, I thought the Panthers would be a good fit for him.
All right, AJ, what do you think for NYT?
I like that Cowboys pick, as you said. I was kind of thinking along the same lines. If you get a really good pass rush, and then you have to dump Dak pretty early on in the cycle. But Dallas always has a good roster across the
Yeah.
board. They get overlooked, and everybody likes to make fun of the Cowboys. But their defense is really good. The offense is somewhat of a blank slate, but you still have CeeDee Lamb, who's a cycle receiver. and some pretty decent young pieces. So I think the Cowboys is a good pick for MIT. And like you said, I think it's realistic that they're there at his pick.
Yeah. So now we got the last 4 picks. These are 4 guys haven't really been in the league very long, didn't get to pick their teams. Hell, barely even got to do anything with their teams. So these are a little tough. So maybe instead of what the best fit is, because I don't know if we know the best fit for Johnny Smokey, MMX, they're not nice. But if you're picking in these spots, and we'll just go with we'll start with Johnny. If you're picking in the 4th from the bottom spot, who do you think is the best team you could hope to be there? Or maybe just who
Maybe
the
the
bottom 4 teams
Patriots.
are. Yeah.
Maybe the Patriots might be the best of the last 4 teams there, is what I would think. And they may even go higher. I think Drake May is a QB that is something to be excited about on that team.
Yeah.
And then Gonzo is, to me, the best defensive back in the game, just with size and speed. Like he's unreal. He'll shut down the side of the field. So I think if the Pats are there, I mean that's probably the best available in my opinion.
What do you think, Straw? Who's a good
I
team that
think
could
I
fall
think
to the
if
bottom 4?
if the Patriots are there, that's definitely the best team on the board. I also think if the Colts don't get picked by
Yeah.
Prime, I think they're available around here, and that's a great team, especially to get in the bottom 4. So if the Colts are there, I say they jump on it.
Yeah, I think the Colts are a team
Yep.
that could fall to the bottom 4. I think like you said, the Patriots. I'd be surprised if the Patriots fall because of, like you said, May, Gonzo. I mean, that's two guys that are going to be cycle long studs. I think a team that could fall. I think the Dolphins could fall to this bottom 4 spot because I think people are a little worried about how old they maybe are. Tua's left-handed. Tua's got a noodle arm. The cap maybe isn't great. So I could see something like them falling. I think Titans are probably a team that falls. Saints, Panthers. I mean, everybody knows those kind of teams are going to fall. But I think somebody like the Colts, like you said, I think that's a good team to see fall too. So I think there'll be some good teams down here, and then obviously the divisions could change everything. I mean, if you had I don't know, I'm trying to.
I feel like the Steelers are gonna fall really low.
Yeah,
Just
if
based
Dan
on
doesn't
division.
take them, I could see them being a bottom 4 team too.
Yeah, you mentioned the Steelers and the Cowboys. I know they just kind of got we said a couple people should take them, but I could also see the Cowboys being here as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams that could fall. I think if Dan passes on the 49ers and then Steve takes them in primer and doesn't want them in SML, I could see the 49ers being a team that falls to that bottom 4 spot.
For sure.
I mean, they're kind of older, and then same thing with the Dolphins. You have the noodle arm quarterback that's being paid. So those are some teams. I think those 4 guys at the bottom could look to see, and maybe somebody ahead of them hops on the Panthers or the Saints or something like that, and then another team falls down. All right, so that's our best available or best projected, who guys should take, who we think would be good fits. AJ, you want to talk about your segment that we're going to do to close out this show?
Yeah, so I got a top 5 here of most full of smoke players here pre-draft. And I don't know if you guys made top 5. I'm just gonna list mine.
All right, AJ, what are your top 5? And we'll throw in if we think there's anybody else.
Yeah. So number 1, I got Paulie. Paulie has probably publicly mentioned in chat that he's joining somebody's division, like 8 different people.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason to who he's picking other than, what's the landscape look like whenever it's his pick. So he's just having fun with it in chat. Paulie's the number 1 smokescreen in the SML. I don't know what do you guys think about the number 1 there?
Yeah, I could see it being Paulie. You saw his face when Straw picked the Cowboys last team draft. He definitely had a plan on who he wanted in that division and had been working on some things, because when he saw that, his face just dropped. So I think he's definitely a lot of smoke there.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm in a full agreement with that. He's got a plan for sure.
All right, who do you got at number?
All right,
Go ahead.
Number two, I got Prime. Um, Mainly because everybody knows he's going to pick the Colts, and here he is every day pretending like he's not. So for that, he earns the number two spot for me, and he actually fools a lot of the new guys that maybe came
Yeah.
in here mid-cycle or at the end of the cycle. They freaking believe him, and he probably has a lot of fun with it. All of us are just kind of shaking our heads like, oh, this guy, he's going to pick the Colts again. I'm glad Straw said the Colts are a great team at the end of that draft, so we didn't have to hear Prime say, "Well, nobody picked the Colts on this mock draft. They must
Yeah.
be a terrible team." But Prime's the number two. He's always spreading the propaganda too.
Yeah,
So
and I
he's
think I've even
he's
heard him say something about he is taking the Colts, which is like some like reverse psychology to make people think he's not taking the Colts and he's
exactly.
really gonna take the Colts. So yeah, I could definitely see that as your number two guy, probably even number one. But who do you have at number three?
I got Woods at number three. Just he just won't tell us what he's doing, and he's the third pick in the draft. And to me, that's if you're the third pick, you just tell everybody who you're gonna pick. You know what I mean? I know he's hinted at the Jags, but every time somebody's like, "Oh, he's taking the Jags," he'll send some goofy gif like, "I don't know, it might not be." So I got Woods as my number three.
Yeah, I could see that. I think even I want to say he said the Jags and then had a Ravens logo for his little profile
Exactly.
picture. So it's tough to know with Woods.
He's
Yeah.
toying with us.
All right, who's number
Uh,
four?
Number four, he kind of helped his spot a little here, but it was Dan, and I like Dan. It's nothing personal, Dan, but all these cryptic comments, like Dan will come in chat in this like 27 days of no Madden or whatever it's been, and like every 3 days he'll just type something really cryptic in chat, like I may take this team, or he'll send out a tweet, and it's just extremely cryptic. Now today he actually listed some top teams, so I'll give him credit
Yeah,
there. But as high as he picks, he's really cryptic about things. And to me, that's the definition of smokescreen. He's trying to toy with people like, oh, what's Dan going to do? That's going to affect what the rest of the draft does, that sort of thing. So
yeah. I
that's
mean,
why
he
Dan
even
earned
posted
fourth
a
spot.
tweet that was like something like, "Oh, we're gonna bring a championship to the city." Well, then what damn city? Like you, like, I don't know.
Yeah, you pick so high. Like the only pick ahead of you that's in question is Woods.
Yeah,
Um, and I mean that's one out of the other teams like that that are off limits. I
and
mean,
I'm sure he's talked to Woods to find out who he's taking, or
probably,
So
probably. But and then number five, I put Paulie again just because it's
yeah, I
Paulie.
can see that.
Probably should count for two for sure.
Yeah, I think putting him at 1 and 5 is probably reasonable.
All
All
right,
right,
well, that's
guys.
my top five.
That's been our show. This is the longest SML countdown in history, but appreciate you guys being on, especially Straw driving all the way to Buffalo with his AirPods in doing the show. So thanks for watching, guys. It's 10 o'clock already, so I'll get this uploaded to YouTube. That way, anybody that didn't see it can catch it. But thanks for being on, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys with the new cycle, and we'll have our first episode of SML Countdown once the new cycle starts.